Welcome, everyone, to Two Pagans in a Pod podcast. I am your host today, Fro Double G, and joining me is my lovely co-host, Beard.
Coming at you. Oh, yeah.
We both did the finger point. I know you didn't know, but I did like the whole and then you're like, what? And it looked very fucking cheesy and lame. Good thing we're dads, and we can like just be like, hey, yo, dad jokes.
Dad jokes,
energy. That's what we do.
Total dad energy right there.
So, Beard, I see you. Ready to go, book in hand.
I do, because I want to get the stanza
Would
over.
That happen to be because we're starting off with the stanza?
Exactly. That is exactly why. Because actually, there's something I want to talk about briefly after the stanza before we get into the meat and bones of the episode. And I meant to bring it up to you sooner, but I think getting your genuine first-time reaction out of it will be better. And I'll be brief with it, so we're not tangenting too much. So,
you want to do that after? Because I have a story for after as well.
Yeah, I want to do that after, because maybe my story might be
related
to your
How
story.
about I start then? That works. So on my way home today, part of the reason I was late, that and I had to stop and get cat food. I stopped by my public library, because we talked about librarians a couple weeks ago, right?
We did talk about librarians.
Let me go see what the local library has. I talked all this shit about it. Let me go check to see what it has. And I went and I talked to the lady, and I'm like, hey, I'm looking. And I'm actually seeing what I'm fucking wearing today. Where, ironically, hey, this episode's about looking pagan. I show up wearing all this shit, and I'm like, you got any books on Norse mythology? So she's like, yeah, right this way, blah, blah, blah. And she did check the system and all that, because I told her, I'm looking for the Prozetta. I don't own the Prozetta, so I'm looking for the Prozetta. They didn't have it. They ordered it from the collection of libraries in my state, so we're able to get it, and it's gonna, should take a week or two, she said. I'll get an email, I can walk right in, grab and go, boom, boom, got the Prozetta to be able to read for 3 weeks. Then I have to just take it back. I can recheck it out if I need, but yeah.
Nice.
People, go check out your public library. Oh, also on top of that, because I signed up, I was actually given a coupon for a free book to pick out of this section. This section wasn't the greatest, but there were a couple I could have picked out, especially for young kids, but they're to the point where it's like Dr. Seuss is a little too young for my kids, right? Like, I could get it and read it to them this year. Next year, maybe year after that, they're not going to enjoy it anymore, right? We're hitting double-digit kids. They don't give a shit about the Dr. Seuss. But, so I picked up a cookbook and gave my wife a cookbook, because I've been collecting those for her as well. So,
nice.
Hell yeah.
Nice. It's a pleasant little story. I guess I should have started, because then you could have had the pleasant story to cap off, because my story isn't so pleasant.
No, now we're going to start off with a stanza.
Now we're going to start with a stanza, and then
start with the stanza. You know what? That's pretty pleasant too. I think the stanzas are rather pleasant.
Yeah, so we'll do the pleasant. I mean,
now let's skip to the one that talks shit about women. Right? That's going to be a real one to controversy. I didn't mean it like that. I don't actually. I'm in a household full of ladies. I'm all about women and women's rights. I was just talking shit about how that actually is one that's kind of like, yo, you have to slap some fucking cultural context onto that. But we're not on that one yet. Yeah. We'll get to that one. You'll hear our opinions eventually. The past was the worst. # love Simon Whistler.
All right, well, how about we start with my stanza, and then you can start with and do your three.
Yes, sir. That sounds wonderful.
I'm coming from the Translated Poetic Edda by Liam Hollander. Stanza number 6, the stanza of 6, the 6th stanza. To be bright of brain, let no man boast, but take good heed of his tongue. The sage and silent come seldom to grief, as they fare among folk in the hall. And then I have another little section added to it. More faithful friend findest thou never than shrewd head on thy shoulders. I don't know if you have like an little additional
I wish we
section.
had this one last week.
Right?
It would have fit really well too. All right, so I have Study Havamal coming from the Focused Ass Publishing Company. Check out our video. My video I did about the publishing company. I know, or not the company, this book in particular. I know it has history. The person who bought it for me did not. Honestly, after like 10 times, can I stop that and just like every 5 remind people?
I think reminding you ever so often would be
I should
better.
probably do the due diligence and say it every time, but it gets annoying. Let no man glory in the greatness of his mind. Oh, this is Bray. Starting off with Bray. Let no man glory in the greatness of his mind, but rather keep watch o'er his wits. Caution and silent, let him enter a dwelling. To the heedful comes seldom harm, for none can find a more faithful friend than the wealth of mother wit. Next, we have Thorpe. Of his understanding, no one should be proud, but rather in conduct cautious. When the prudent and taciturn come to a dwelling, harm seldom befalls the cautious. For a firmer friend no man ever gets than great sagacity. Holy shit, that one sounds very different.
Right.
And last one we have Bellows. A man shall not boast of his keenness of mind, but keep it close in his breast. To the silent and wise does ill come seldom, when he goes as a guest to a house. For a faster friend one never finds than wisdom tried and true. Thorpe, dude. Thorpe. What the fuck was that? Holy flowery fucking words. Sagacity. Prudent. Taciturn. Like, holy shit. You might as well just left it in Old Norse.
Right. Yeah, that's another one that's pretty. I mean, all in all, I think most of the stanzas are pretty straightforward, but I think that's another one that's just pretty. You know, if you're smart, you don't have to talk shit, or if you know what you're talking about, you don't have to boast yourself about it, but don't turn around and be an ass about it at the same time.
Yeah, honestly, that's a pretty straightforward one. Usually, those who talking shit aren't smart, and usually those who are smart ain't talking shit. Weird that, huh?
Basically.
There's a reason why there's a term called the silent majority.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Or the vocal minority. Right. Yeah. Yep.
Something that we've talked about.
Pagans. Yep. Mm-hmm. Weird that, huh? Vocal minority. People with wisdom not speaking. Crazy. Anyways, Beard.
So, before we get into...
We have an actual... Oh, shit, you got a story. That's right.
I do have a story. Not as pleasant as your story. Your story was very pleasant and very on the ball. So
wholesome. Librarians are great. By the way, I while the whole time I was there, I was thinking about like how I was wholeheartedly been like, yo, librarians are amazing. And this librarian was being fucking amazing because like I went in there and she's like, yeah, you can go over here and yourself check out things over there. I'm like, okay, yeah, I'll go give it a shot. And she's like, here, let me go with you. Make sure we can get it all done the first time. And I'm like, oh, thank God. Because, like, I didn't want to ask because you kind of did the whole, like, here it is over there type thing. And it kind of seemed like a go do it your fucking self. But then I'm like, I'll go figure it out. And she's like, oh no, not a problem. I'll be right over there. And it's like, oh, my God. Librarians, I love you.
Right. So, I wish mine was that wholesome, but it wasn't. So, I think I might have briefly mentioned it in an episode or two here. I currently don't have a working car, so anytime that we have to go to the store or anywhere, it's either we get a ride or we walk or bus. So when it comes to the weekend, like if the wife hasn't stocked up at some point during the week, I tend to go just to get us stuff for the weekend. So I went to the store Saturday morning.
Beard. Get your fucking elbows off your desk. Your camera won't stop shaking.
Oh, sorry, camera. Sorry, visual viewers.
Oh, I just smacked the shit out of my mic being a smartass. I deserve that. That's karma right there.
That is karma. So, I go to the store. I've checked out, and because I'm walking home, I'm getting everything packed up. Now, of course, being that we're in Wisconsin, it's still pretty cold, which means the grocery store is blasting the heater to like 112 degrees inside. So, of course, I'm wearing all of this winter stuff, sweating my balls off inside the store. So I've rolled up my sleeves, all that jazz. So I'm leaned over the other bags and I'm kind of getting stuff organized, so carry weight so I don't kill myself on the walk home. I don't know what direction this guy was coming, if he was either coming in the store or coming out of the store. But I was sitting there packing up, and then I had a hovering image of a man hovering over me, looking down at me, who began spewing, "May Jesus save my soul," and shouting obscenities at me for my tattoos, and the imagery of my tattoos.
Which one?
For the runic tattoos, and then I have a tattoo. I don't know how well you can see it in the camera. It's really old. It's faded. It was a really crappy tattoo.
Oh, you straight got a pentagram on. Oh, it's not even a full pentagram.
No, it's not. And it's on that way.
Hold up.
No, it's not that way. It's that way on purpose. And it has a rune in the middle of it. And so the guy saw that tattoo, saw these tattoos, instantly pegged me for pagan. Or in his case, devil worship, and proceeded.
Oh yeah, Beard got pegged,
and proceeded to chase me through the parking lot.
Oh yeah,
yeah. So as soon as he started coming at me in this little foyer area I was in, I basically just, my first thought was, I need to straighten myself up and punch this guy in the face. But then I was like, no, I can't do that because I can't give that image. I just need to scream back at him. Or like I just need to try and talk calmly to him, but I was like, okay, he's already yelling at me. That's not going to help anything. Talking calmly to this guy is not going to do anything. And if I scream at him, it's also going to give a negative image. I was like, my only option at this point is either to follow through with one of these negative images or find a way to get the fuck out of here as quickly as I can. So at that point, I just smashed the remaining of my items into whatever bag I could, grabbed it, tossed it up, pushed past this guy, and he literally followed me through basically the entire parking lot before he finally stopped.
Did you say you had your family with you?
No, it was just me.
Try Jesus, because I throw hands, motherfucker. That's just me. I get you, Beard. I get you.
And that was the thing. I was like, I mean, yeah, and that was my dilemma the whole time was, I've always told myself that, because I've luckily not been, at least directly in terms of like, I've had someone make like a Nazi comment or something, not directed directly towards me, but enough to where I can be like, I take offense to that kind of statement because I'm German heritage. You can, go stick that where you want it. But to be like actually called out and screamed at like that in a public setting, taken off guard where I was not in a position.
Being caught off guard is something. That is, a lot of people talk the talk, but if you get caught off guard, that is something, man.
And like I said, it's like I had all of these thoughts of
because that kicks in the fight or flight, not to think about the situation. It kicks in fight or flight. That's just plain and simple.
As much as I wanted to yell and scream back at this guy and tell him to leave me alone, and as much as I wanted to just hit this guy, I didn't want to present that image either. And that's where I got into that dilemma of where like my only option here is to just run because I have all of this stuff. I don't want to get into a fight. The cops show up and then there goes our groceries for the weekend.
Yeah, there's that.
And so I didn't want.
You put your head on. You did some thinking. I get it.
I did it, and it was rough because I spent the whole way home looking over my shoulder. Because as soon as he stopped, because I put my headphones in, I was hauling. I was basically just as fast as I could, short of running. Because I'm carrying all this stuff, running was not really the most ideal option for me. And it was nerve-wracking. It was a nerve-wracking situation. And to actually have my own experience of it is like dumbfounding. And it really is one of those like, until you're in that situation, you can say what you would do all you want, but until you're actually in that situation, you really probably don't know, which I think is kind of a corny way to say it, but I think it's very true. Until you are face to face with that situation, there's you have no way real of knowing how you're going to do it. Like, maybe if the guy had approached me in a different fashion, maybe I would have approached the situation differently. Maybe I could have talked to him calmly. Maybe I could have screamed back at him. Maybe I would have just punched him in the face. But, again, trying to keep in consideration that I had all this food with me, had to still carry it home, had to, make sure that I wasn't calling my wife from, a police station for knocking a dude out cold and pick and save. And it was, but it was one of the most nerve-wracking things on the way home, though, because once he kind of stopped following me, I had no idea if he was going to get in his car to, like, drive after me, or if he was going about his business. I didn't know what he was doing. So, and it's a good mile that I have to walk from the store, or pretty close to a mile from the store to our house. And just that feeling of, like, is this guy just going to show up behind me randomly? Like, I ducked and zigzagged through all of the side streets that I could to try and make sure that I didn't have anybody behind me. But, I don't know, it was a terrifying feeling that I'm just going to drag this guy back to my home, and now there's going to be a scene in front of my family, was the only thing I was thinking on my way home. And it was nerve-wracking. Like, I don't want to say it was terrifying, because I wasn't really scared for myself, more of, like, scared to bring that home to my children. And bring them home to my household. And have them witness that or see that. And it's like, that's one of the things that I try and, why I'm so for the whole, like, getting rid of misinformation and trying to correct people and, trying to present that more positive image of pagans as a whole. So that way, like, if my kids decide that this is the path that they want to stick to when they get older, and that's what they want to do, and that's the path they're going to follow, I don't want them to have to face that kind of stuff. I want them to have, hopefully at least a little more open-minded place to live in at that point. But, it's going to be what it's going to be, and, I know it's not going to change overnight either, so.
That's fair.
But yeah.
It is. Also, real quickly, I just noticed, I never hit record on the video, so sorry right now to all of our YouTube listeners. It's just going to be a static thumbnail for this episode. Kisses.
Oh, they missed my cat leaping off of my chest twice.
They did.
Sad panda.
But one other, I guess I actually got two more things before we can actually get into the meat and potatoes here. First off, let's do a little bit of our self-promotion, because not as many people stick until the end. So for those who don't know, Beard and I both have a Facebook page. He has one that's Pagan
Resources of Wisconsin.
Pagan.
Wisconsin.
Yeah, Pagan Resources. Go ahead, you say it.
I don't know. I got to look it up now because I don't even remember.
All right. And I have one that is Heathens, Wiccans, and Pagans of Southwest Michigan. No punctuation. Just Heathens, Wiccans, and Pagans of Southwest Michigan in that order. If you're in the Southwest Michigan area, join mine. If you're in Wisconsin, feel free to join his. We also have a Discord server for anybody in the Great Lakes area, from New York all the way over to Minnesota. Feel free to join up, guys. You can chat with us there, give us ideas for shit. Feel free to comment below, subscribe, follow, give a review, whatever you can do on whatever platform you are. Beard, before we head out, what is the name of the group?
It is Wisconsin Pagan Resources on Facebook.
And one last little thing that we've wanted to do on this podcast, and since I'm hosting, I'm doing it, is wanted to share different pagan poetry, different pagan artwork, different pagan crafts that people have done. So to start off, as usual, we're going to try to, encourage others by doing it ourselves first, is a poem written by yours truly. Now, I wrote this last year for spring, and it is coming springtime, so I figured it'd fit to read it now. The poem is called A Spring Breeze. When the day's warm and flowers bloom, when squirrels chatter and there's morning dew, when young life starts to sing its tune, it's a beautiful thing when you feel the breath of a dune. Here you go. A little poem I wrote. So if you guys have a poem, again, Discord groups, Facebook, all that other shit, hit us up. Comments, let me know. Make sure to put your name so I can credit you, or how you want to be credited.
For some reason, I thought it was going to be a lot longer.
No, it's just a short little poem.
It's very short.
What, do you think I'm a good fucking poet or something?
I don't know. I thought it was going to be like a big haiku or something.
It's longer than haiku. Wait a minute. Haikus are only 5 syllables, 7 syllables, 5 syllables.
That's fair.
So it'd be shorter. That's why they're also in the 3-line thing.
Fair enough. Anyway, should we get to the meat and potatoes?
Let's get to the meat and potatoes. This episode is all about looking pagan. And I'm going to go ahead and not trying to trauma dump y'all. None of that. Don't worry about it, guys. I'm fine. Thank you if you do want to, post, condolences or whatever, but I am fine. No worries. My brother passed away last week. My older brother. Well, I mean, I'm the youngest, so I only have older brothers, but my second oldest brother at age 43 passed away. Actually, the day we recorded the episode with the 2 Christians was that day. Now it's just, honestly, I was going through shock. So it's like 12 hours after finding out my brother died. I'm like, no big deal. We can record. I'm good. Like, I'm unfazed. Like, we're good. Kind of a bit out of it, right? This week, I haven't done fuck all for research. I haven't done fuck all for taking notes. I haven't done fuck all for anything at all. So Beard's really kind of leading the charge on this pretty hardcore. I've been busy, understandably, I hope. So that's also why I'm hosting. So Beard, why don't you go ahead and get started on what is looking pagan, why we should do it, and how that can be achieved.
Okay. So, well, the how it can be achieved is pretty easy. And that's anything from jewelry, tattoos, clothing, home decor, all those things done either handcrafted or purchased in some way, shape, or form that is representative of whatever your pagan belief may be it Norse pagans like rune or any other form of paganism that's out there. Be it Wicca, Wiccan, Witch, Warlock, Wizard, Lizard, Hellenist, Kemetic, anything in between.
I will say, if possible, I would suggest supporting someone local. If you can, someone local in your area. Keep money in your own economy and all that to help out. Be helping out, if you can, another pagan or Wiccan. Help them out again. Help us keep being able to do shit like that. Support each other. Lastly, try to make sure everything is ethically sourced if possible. Sometimes that just really puts a budget constraint on some shit though. Or it's hard to find out, hard to tell. Or if you're like in Europe and shit, it's just hard to get. So it's understandable. Like, you can only do so much, but do what you can, right? Do what you can when you can.
Most definitely. So the why we should, well, I mean, that's kind of not? The why or why not is kind of a slippery slope. Because it kind of goes back to that coming out of the broom closet episode that we did not too long ago. Because I mean, if you feel comfortable doing it and feel comfortable kind of, because I mean, ultimately the reason you're doing it is to advertise yourself as being pagan. It's kind of a, hey, everything on me clearly shows you who and what I am. Deal with it. And obviously, if you don't feel comfortable, if you don't feel comfortable doing that, right? If you don't feel comfortable doing that, by all means, there are different ways of going about it, which we will break down here. I think I have it in 4 different. Yeah, I have it in 4 different little categories.
Oh, do you?
Yeah, I broke it down into 4 little sections.
No, okay.
Of progressively getting more louder about it, you can say. But yeah, I mean, ultimately, it is to 1, express yourself as a pagan, and 2, have that kind of, at least for me, all the stuff that I wear that's predominantly pagan is just something to have on me that to help me, give me that center on myself, and also display my spirituality. So like I have a bead bracelet that has a tiger's eye on it, and I have that for trying to keep my mental state cool and calm and collected. And sometimes I'll take the bracelet off and I'll just kind of hold it in my hand for myself to try and help kind of like center myself. So it's a jewelry and an accessory piece, but it's also something to help keep myself centered and stuff like that. So it has a kind of a practical use as well. But I mean, that's really the basics of that. So to kind of dive further, actually, before we get into like the personal, the 4 sections about looking pagan ourselves, let's talk like the home decor stuff real quick. Just get that kind of out of the way.
Yeah, you mentioned broadcasting yourself as pagan, and I have brought up the story of me driving past a house that had a vegivisier. Vegivisier? Fuck, I don't remember how to pronounce it right now. Holy shit, I'm dumb.
Yeah, I'm drawing a blank.
Anyways, had the waypointer. There we go, the waypointer flag, and that caused me to stop. They were advertising, hey, look, we're pagan or fans of pagan, or at least fans of, Norse stuff, to the point where they're going to put it right out there. And it's like the main road in town too, right? So it's like you are broadcasting. And then when I go to knock on the door, they had a sign that says, yes, a witch lives here. No, I don't fly on a broom. No, yes, I cast spells. No, I'm not evil, or something like that. So it's like, no, you guys are like, you're broadcasting, like, tried and true. And I made a TikTok, like, when I first started off, about how, yes, I understand that the Vegivisier is not actually historically heathen or pagan. It's like most likely, like, the Helm of All 100% is like a Christian origins, right?
Right.
And most likely the waypointer is too. But that doesn't mean we can't use it. I mean, it's A, it's really cool looking. B, it's associated with Norse stuff now. So why can't we use it as a broadcasting symbol? And that's what I told people. Like, that's why I wear it. So people know, hey, this dude's probably interested in that shit.
Right.
That's why. I understand it has no significance. I'm broadcasting.
Yeah, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. So,
I mean, because if you see someone wearing a Vegivisier and has a fucking Mjolnir necklace,
like,
if you are in the know,
right? Like,
if you are in the know, you're like, boom, this dude, he's a follower. Like, boom, like you just fucking know, right? If you're not in the know, you instantly become keyed up on, I like Viking shit, right?
Right.
I mean, let's genericize it. That's what the average person would think, average American, if you will. I like Viking shit. And you know what you might say? I got another buddy who likes Viking shit. Oh yeah, who is it?
Right. And it's all downhill after that, so to speak.
I'm, not, it's a small little place I live in, but Beard's, he's in the Facebook group I'm in. I mean, if you exclude, me, you, my wife, my kid, I've still managed to gather up, like, we're at almost 45 people. Now we're at 43, 44. So
something
minus
like that,
us,
yeah.
We're at like 30 some odd people, almost 40 by themselves,
Without me and you, there's 5 people in the Wisconsin one. So,
Yeah.
Making
so slowly but surely, we're just trying to broadcast.
Right. Now, ways you can broadcast on home decor, I think you've basically hit on all of them with the example of that house. Flags, banners of some sort. I put garden gnomes or other small statuettes.
I don't think garden gnomes and other statuettes can be considered broadcasting.
This is true.
Unless paired with something else, and even then it's not. It's more of what it's paired with that keys you off, right?
Right.
It's just those can be used as like an affirming signal on top of that, right?
Right. And I was thinking more of just as a suggestion for someone to decorate their home with, of using garden gnomes and other like statuettes as representations of spirits or other type creatures that maybe within.
Oh, wholeheartedly. That's why it's so common, and why I think you can't use it as a good indication of whether or not someone is broadcasting. It's because like garden gnomes, like little yard fairies, little mushrooms in your yard, like statues and all that stuff, miniature homes and all that shit. That's pagan as fuck. All of that's pagan as fuck. Pagan origins. That's all like those miniature, the fairy, the fae folk, those little fucking houses. That's the fae folks housing. Like that is all. Even the garden gnomes, like you have, there's 2 main types of garden gnomes, if I remember correctly. You have like the gnomes with a hat on top, right?
Yeah.
Like your stereotypical one, you can fully see them and all that. And if I remember correctly, those are just derived from what's called the tomtas, which are the ones where the hat is pulled down, so it's just like that big round bulbous nose sticking out, and like the big old beards. Those are pagan origins and are still used in like a lot of like Sweden and Norway, Scandinavian countries. Hell, I even have one on my spirit altar, like an actual like little tomta for its like inside. But like you have people who will use some of those as outdoors ones, and like I said, those are a bit of the origin of actual lawn gnomes. So while I think you can use those to decorate as pagans and heathens, Wiccans, Ossators, whatever, but I don't think them by themselves, because of their popularity, can be used.
And that's
Paired
fair.
with something, for sure. To use secretly, and like you'll have your little old Christian grandmas out there having little fucking fairy gardens because they think they're cute and shit like that, right?
Oh yeah.
And then you could have the pagan as fuck person right next to them with their fairy garden, and no one would bat an eye at either of them.
Right.
No one would even think a thing about either of them unless told otherwise.
But your idea there of making sure that you have it paired with something as a way to broadcast, I think is a clever way to hide it in plain sight as well, for someone who may not be overly comfortable broadcasting it out the gate, but maybe wants to start. Maybe setting up some kind of little garden gnome or fairy gnome thing and then pairing it, like you said, could be a way to like
if I see any sort of raven, rune, like Vegvisir, anything like that at a house that also has any sort of fairy or fucking Tamta garden gnomes, I'm going to assume. I will take the hint. Even if it's one you're not given, I will take that hint.
And that's another fair one. The other one here that I have for like outside decorations, well, the other one that you mentioned was like signs, like the one that you saw that was like, yes, the witch lives here. You know, signs like that are like, be it more memey or be it that it's a literal sign that says, you know, hey, I'm very much, you know, this, and I live here, you know, here's what I'm not, here's what I am. You know, those work, or even just simply like a witch lives here, you know, and keeping it simple. Those signs kind of work too. And the other thing I have, again, this wouldn't be... Oh, yeah, go ahead.
Can I bring up the one sign that I want? And this is honestly like the only sign, because I'm not really a big sign kind of person, but I do want one that says, solicitors will be sacrificed to the old gods, not the new.
I'd be okay with that.
But yeah, I was like, man, I'm about it. And that's all I said is solicitors will be sacrificed to the old gods, plural, not the new one.
Because they're either going to think you're a really big Game of Thrones fan or not to knock on that door.
I'm with it. Either or.
Right? Either way it works. So, and then the last outside kind of home decor decoration, again, not broadcasting unless you're kind of, I mean, it could be broadcasting to an extent, depending on what kind of planting that you're doing, but using plants both as decorations and then having like more actual like legit garden with different kind of herbs. I mean, and stuff like that.
If I watch you plant a jar, I know what's up, you witchy bitch.
Right.
Kidding. I mean, actually, no, I'm not kidding. If I watch you plant a jar, I'm going to assume you're doing some jar spell work here. I'm just saying.
But
you ain't fooling me.
You know, if someone's just planting like, you know, a generic already, you know, potted, you know, just pretty plant of some kind, okay. But like if they're clearly potting like different things, like I don't know any like specific herb stuff off the top of my head. You know, but like,
I don't think that you can necessarily keep track of what someone's planting.
This is
maybe
fair.
Just keep track, and even then, we're getting kind of like weird territory where you keep track of your neighbors. Like, we're not saying keep track of. It's like if you notice type thing,
right?
And plants are. I think you're in a real awkward one because people eat plants. Because the closest I can say to like you can use them to keep track is if you can notice like, hey, you know, my neighbor seems to just, you know, once a week go out and just snip a couple, you know, leaves or buds, flowers, or whatever off this plant. Maybe ask them about it. But even then, that's like an awkward one because it's like, well, fuck, who knows what that? Maybe that's basil, bitch. Of course, they're trimming some leaves off. How else he supposed to use it? If they're making spaghetti, mind your own fucking business.
Right.
So that is a very, very awkward one. The plants. I think that one's you.
It goes from less broadcasting and more of like, if you know specifically what kind of plant that is that's in their front yard, because you plant it too, and then this plant too, that like at that point, like it's a collection of like specific plants. Like
yeah, I think it would be one of the ones like a partial signal, right? Kind of like the fairies and the gnomes. Like you see this plus that, maybe then.
Yeah, I mean, definitely, like I said, definitely not like a straight out purely broadcast, but something that, can give you that hint. And plus also a great idea for anyone who is doing anything with plants and herbs and things like that. A practical way to do things is to just grow those plants on your own, and a lot of the plants that can be grown will actually grow into pretty cool looking plants. So, it is a great way to kind of decorate your lawn, your fence areas, stuff like that. So, and then inside, it's not too different than a lot of the stuff that you can have outside. Banners, flags, signs and pictures. A dedicated altar space within your home. Just again, things that are all iconographed and representing that of your faith, in spirituality with whatever form of paganism you're taking. Except the only difference is that it's not outside, it would be inside. Again, not that you have to have the inside of your home look like the inside of a witch's hut, or some pagan temple.
Fuck though, wouldn't it?
Would
we
be
all
really
know
cool.
it would. We get it. We all know. Although, have you seen some of the? I sometimes will get a little jealous. Have you seen like modern witch households, like the ones that are like they have too much money? Those ones, I'm jealous. I'm not gonna lie.
I'm super jealous of those.
Okay, they do their like fucking pull down, fold out cabinet with 19 little vials. Just like that's cool. I get it. You have too much money.
That's squad goals right there,
I'm happy
man.
for you.
Squad goals. That's all I'm saying. I guess family.
Squad goals. You're gonna buy me one of them houses? Oh my god, you're the best.
Oh, I mean,
I'll buy you one too. Then how about that?
If I make enough money once I get the mead stuff off the ground, maybe.
All right, there we go.
But on a general aspect, it kind of goes back to what you said earlier with home decor. Handcrafted, or either buying handcrafted or you yourself personally crafting decorations and things like that, definitely an ideal way to go. One, because then and then of course if hopefully it's somebody local you're supporting as well, but I find that handcrafted goods tend to have more of that meaning and intent put into them, especially if you're buying it for a specific purpose. Definitely, personally, my suggestion for those things. And then, of course, anything that we talk about in the next 4 sections about personally decorating yourself.
I just realized we're not on video, and here I am showing off my wallet that I got. That's all like hand stitched and all that. My dumbass.
All good. And with that,
the beautiful wallet. You guys should hear it.
It's a very beautiful wallet, and it does make a very beautiful sound.
Yeah, I was gonna say, wait a minute, is it gonna dawn on him what I said?
So with that, let's break into the 4 sections here. The first little section I have dubbed Secret Pagan Man or Woman, and this is basically when like the way that you are dressing yourself or presenting yourself is you have a hint that you're pagan in there, something that isn't like, hey, you're pagan, but enough to be like, well, if someone's looking hard enough, or if they really paying attention, it could at least ask the question and get the conversation started. By which I mean this is basically someone who's wearing, typically, again, by no means anyone should take these as like end all be alls. One, these are just suggestions to you and me of breaking down into like the most simplest format. There's can be in betweens. There could be other ways of going about it, things like that. But for that tiny hint of being pagan, will basically more or less just be jewelry or accessories. Anything from like wearing just a Mjolnir to maybe a bracelet of some kind, maybe some rings. There he is showing off his... Were you just showing off your Mjolnir there, or were you playing with your beard?
Yeah. Showing my Mjolnir. It's very small. It's hard. It's very dainty.
And it's wasted on the visual viewers again, because they're not going to be able to see it.
Well, I mean, I was doing it more just for me.
Oh, okay, that's fair. But I mean, yeah, so it's mainly going to be that. A lot of the time, too, they'll probably, you may wear this under, your shirt, or it might be under your sleeve. Or if you have maybe tattoos or something, you might not have those visible. You might cover those up with your sleeves and things like that, and only occasionally, roll up your sleeves because you're hot or something and have your tattoo be seen. Which directly leads into the next one of the hint of pagan, which is just that step up from a secret pagan man or woman, where you're displaying it enough intentionally, but not enough to basically have someone go, "You're pagan," instantaneously. Someone who's paying attention will know, but someone who's not paying attention will just be like, "Oh, that's just how they're dressed." Again, your jewelries and accessories, if you're Norse pagan or other forms of paganism, wearing something like an arm ring, again, specific kind of bracelets or pendants or rings, that specifically kind of hint at or are direct representations of whatever form of paganism you're into. For us Norse pagans, wearing a Mjolnir is probably one of the more common ones.
Say the most common. It is.
Yeah,
let's
the
not
most common. I mean, if it's not...
I have no facts or figures for this.
Yeah, I mean, if someone can come up with something that's more common...
just a TikTok full of people being like, "Hey, look at my hammer." So... and again, I really hate to use anecdotal evidence, but I feel very, very safe and confident in saying that the Mjolnir is the most common item that people wear in Norse paganism, or at least present.
Right.
I feel safe with that.
I mean, the only other...
Sorry, I ruined your tangent.
That's okay. The next...
I got to keep you on your toes.
You do. Because, aside from probably a Mjolnir, that probably the more other common thing would actually be the next thing, which would be tattoos.
Even then, a tattoo of a Mjolnir is common.
Oh, no, that's fair. That's very fair. You got me there.
As I would say, if we're going to go next common besides Mjolnir, I'd probably have to say runes. Well, just because there's so many, and that's such a broad-ass fucking term. And then followed up with probably ravens or wolves, right? Let's be real.
I was going to say maybe just an arm ring for Norse pagans specifically.
Yeah, I don't see many people wearing arm rings, though. Because first off, most of those motherfuckers are bracelet size. Let's be real.
That's true.
Let's be real. I was a little disheartened when I bought my arm ring, because I'd wear it like fucking up on my, like above the elbow, like it's properly, like they used to back in the day. That's what I was kind of hoping. And then I got it, and I'm like, this is never going to fit around my fucking arm. Like, it'll fit around my wrist. That is it.
The ones that I got fit my kids. They don't fit me at all.
No?
Because the very first one that I got for myself originally would not fit me. And I have like tiny little wrists. I'm not some big...
Oh yeah, that one right there. Like, I'm lucky where I got like, it can only go on in this one angle, and I had to just a little, like...
I couldn't even do that.
Just a little bit spread it.
Like, I
didn't spread it too much.
Because if
and it goes on tight too. It's one of the ones like I actually have to kind of like push in on my wrist a little bit as I like wiggle it back and forth. But
yeah, I wasn't even that lucky.
I'm also like got like weird contorting, flexing joints and shit like that.
That's fair. So then, the other thing for hinting at pagan is, you have a wonderful example of a shirt on today. I also reference as an example your Loki shirt that you have, Fro, that you wear on occasion. Just having a
Loki
shirt
made me do it.
Yeah, like having a shirt that is, maybe it's more memey, or maybe it's more like just general mythology kind of reference, or maybe it is just an outwardly like pagan shirt of some kind. Are also another great way to, like, you're not wearing it all the time, you're wearing it once in a while kind of thing, as a way to kind of hint. And then the third level that I broke it into is the hey, I'm a pagan level. So it's not too
Say that again, but without yawning.
It's the hey, I'm a pagan level. Again, basically kind of just another step up from the previous one, and it's not too unsimilar. The only difference between like hey, I'm a pagan and hey, I'm hinting at being a pagan is that rather than like making your tattoos, if like me for example, I have a rune tattoo on my inner arm. When I'm at work, I will deliberately roll up my sleeves at work. One, because it's always hot in my office, and I always run hotter. But because I always want my tattoos visible, because it's one of the major things for me. All of my dress shirts are dark colored dress shirts. So my Mjolnir, for example, is a gigantic silver chain. It pops on my dark shirts, whether I'm wearing my black one.
I ran into that at the funeral. Right, I ran into that at my brother's funeral. It was all black, right? Obviously,
right.
Which I generally wear mainly black anyway, so it didn't take me much to be convinced to wear nothing but. I went to go put on my necklace, and at first I put on this small one, and I'm like, yeah, it's all right, but it looked very, very goofy over the tie, and I'm like, no, that's not how you don't do a necklace over the tie, right? And under the tie, it was just black on black with this little tiny gold thing, which was just hidden. So I'm like, it's not very broadcasty at all, right? And I wanted to broadcast a little bit. So I put on my silver chain, my other necklace, which is, similar. You all have seen it. Dude, that honking motherfucking thing, when it's the only thing not black on me, it stood out. It stood out a lot. And I'm like, okay, I can't wear this either. I actually had to compromise. And, how they come on that ring?
Yeah.
I just took that ring and hooked that on a belt loop. So like when I had my jacket on and everything, everything was hidden. But when I took my jacket off, right, because I had my shirt tucked in and everything, you could see the Mjolnir dangling by my pocket, kind of like how people have like their pocket watch or whatever.
Oh, that's clever. Because I saw the one
like,
picture.
I wanted it on me, and I wanted it like to be presented, but also like wanted to look presentable, and it just didn't wear it as a necklace. So I just clipped it on my belt loop.
Oh, that works.
And again, it was hidden with my suit jacket on, so you couldn't see it then. But the instant I like pulled the suit jacket back at all to like reach my pocket, or if I just took it off, you could clearly see it.
Yeah, you had posted a picture. I don't remember where you posted the picture. I think it was Facebook.
Yeah, you won't see that. You won't see it. My jacket was on. You won't see it.
Well, you posted a picture, and I saw that you were wearing it. And that was the first thing I saw in that picture was your Mjolnir on your chest.
Oh wait, did I wear? Oh yeah, I think I wore both. Now I say that. Because I wore this
picture.
one over or under my tie and everything, like I said, but it was like hidden, so that's why. That's right, I wore both. I did wear both because this was so fucking hidden.
Fair.
Oh wait a minute. No. That was from the visitation the day before.
Okay.
And I had no tie on.
That might have been what it was then.
So in my family, my dad, like, okay, first off, my dad's like, yo, ties at funerals. That's what we do. So the day of, we wear a tie. The second one, I'll just bring this up. Just came. A lot of people find us weird for it, and like, I brought it up in the Northwoods Discord, but we bury our own. Like, we throw the dirt in the hole. We do that. I know a lot of people will be like, oh, a handful of dirt, stuff like that. Or like, no. Like, even though it was fucking freezing cold, we completely covered the casket at least. We let them go ahead and do the last like bucket on top, but as far as like covering, that was on us, just us family with shovels. We do that. A lot of people find us weird for it, but that's just what we do in my family. You bury your own from pet to person.
Doesn't seem odd at all to me.
Yeah, saying it on a pagan podcast, many of us are probably going to be like, "Oh yeah, I can fucking that feels very natural."
Yeah.
Right? A lot of other people are like, "That's fucking weird, dude. What the fuck?" To me, I'm just like, that's literally the cycle. Like, return them to the earth. Like, bury or burn them. What the fuck else are our options here? Like, come on, return them to the earth. Like, I don't know. Like I said, it's the pagan in me. I know. Like, and it's something from my family that probably was like the mindset kind of helped me ease onto the pagan path. Because I was just like, yeah, I don't know. It's just that part. It didn't. It just never seemed weird to me.
Yeah, I mean, everybody in our family has been cremated thus far, aside from like some of the older generations where they have some gray sites. But anyone in probably since I was about 10, anyone that's passed away in our family have always been cremated. Because I think like there's a plot or something like that I think my grandparents saved where it's one of those. Not like a family mausoleum, but it's a mausoleum where all the different, ash urns are stored. And they have they have a couple, like, areas in that reserved already for the family. Because, like, that's where my uncle, when he passed away, he was cremated and he's there. I think my grandmother's stored there now. And then my grandfather passes, he'll be stored there. And then I think they have a spot for my mom. And then I want to say they have a spot for my other uncle at the very least. But then I think they might have a couple other spots reserved in case someone else in the family wants to be stowed there. But I mean, even then,
honestly, not to be too morbid, when I pass, if I get cremated, dude, mix that shit up with some water, make a fucking slurry, and feed me to a tree.
I'd be for that.
I'm all about the return me to the earth. Like, that's my wife. We had this conversation way back before I became pagan, and I told her, like, when I'm gone, this body is useless to me. Like, I'm done with it. That's why I left. Do whatever the fuck you want. Like, I am cool. Like, I told her, I'm like, you can fucking throw me off the side of the fucking road for all I care. She's like, how could I do that? Like, I'm like, well, what, the animal's gonna eat me? If you feel too bad, give me a stick to defend myself. Like, fuck, I don't care. Like, I'm good. I'm good. I just really, I moved on, right? That's just kind of my mindset. It's just how and we've kind of brought this up before. If there is an afterlife, that's where I'll be. I'm not here. If there's not, I'm just gone. I'm still not here. And I told, like, do the cheapest, do the best, do whatever makes you happy. Fucking, if you're really leaving it up to me, donate it to science, I guess, or just do whatever. Like, I'm good. I'm good.
All I have now is just this mental image of someone driving by,
a dead fro with a stick in his hand.
A
wolf's like chewing on my ankle.
Someone's tossing you out, and there it is, just this body coming out of the back of a car with a stick in its hand, just flopping on the side of the road.
Someone pulls over. What are you doing? You can't toss a dead body there. Don't worry, I left him a stick to defend himself.
Like that's something out of a movie.
I don't. No. That actually does come from a old Greek philosopher. Oh, what's his name? He had no earthly possession. He slept in a pot. Blah blah blah. He had that same mentality as me. He liked to troll. What was it? Plato? Yeah, he liked to troll Plato, I think. Fuck. I don't remember his name. But yeah, he made the original comment about how you can just toss him over the thing, and if you feel bad, give him a stick to defend himself or whatever. And I just copied it because I feel the wholeheartedly the same way. Dude, I wish I could remember the dude's name. All I can remember is like one of his most notable things is Alexander the Great showed up and like wanted to speak to this man, and he's like, hey, I'm Alexander the Great. I can grant you any wish. What do you want? And he's like, I want you to move out of my sun, because apparently he was sunbathing and the dude and Alexander the Great was in his way. And Alexander the Great's like, oh, all right, I respect it, and just walked away.
Huh. I'm gonna have to look that up now.
Holy fuck. God damn it. I'm gonna have to figure it out. Anyways, get back to what you were doing.
So on the in terms of like, hey, I'm pagan, and you're displaying it, I was giving the example of accessories on a plain black shirt, or just anything that doesn't even have to be a plain black shirt, just any way that, whatever you're trying to display of yours that would indicate that you're a pagan to someone who's paying attention. Make it whatever else you're wearing, make it basically just support that image to pop out on what you're wearing. Like if you're wanting to make your tattoos visible, if you have like a half sleeve tattoo like me, wear a short sleeve shirt or roll your sleeves up all the time. If you have a chest tattoo, maybe wear a lower cut shirt, or like if you're a guy, maybe wear a button up shirt and you leave the first couple buttons open, so that way, the tattoo can be kind of seen. Within reason, obviously, if you're going to work, don't screw with your dress code if you have a dress code at work, but things like that. The final form, the final evolution, or the final stage, I call Pagan and Proud. This is really simple because, at this point, short of like trying to make it, like for anyone who's paying attention, this is for anyone who can basically just look at you and know, okay, they have to be a pagan of some kind. It doesn't always have to, but at this stage, you're blurring the line between wearing normal clothes and you might as well just be cosplaying. It's kind of what I reference it as. Because, I don't know how else you can clearly make it pagan aside from holding a banner or a sign that says, hey, I'm pagan on it. Again, jewelry, accessories, or general clothing that clearly states and displays your paganism on front. A lot of the time, in terms of like some of the stuff that I've seen over the years, especially over the last year looking for community, I see a lot of people who will wear, and oftentimes will make it on their own, where they will do like reconstructionist or period-based clothing, making more of like the classic Viking Age tunic, or making like a cloak, or making like a hood, or other various things like that. Basically a lot of the time it'll lead to someone looking at you, or looking at this person going, hey, is there a comic book convention nearby? Not that that's a requirement for this stage of broadcasting your paganism through the way you're looking, but if you can, if they're not asking that question, they should clearly be asking, or at least making that statement of, that person is clearly pagan. Now, the only shortcomings of this is, if the people don't know what they're looking at, they're not going to know that. But hopefully, by broadcasting yourself at any one of these levels, and they've caught any one of these things that you're displaying on yourself, if they don't know, at least hopefully it drives that question of, hey, what's that? And it can get the conversation going, which is the more important thing, because if they don't know, you want them to ask. If they don't know and they're not asking, shame on them. And if they don't know or have the wrong information and begin to persecute you about it, much like I did a couple of days ago, that's the stuff that is unfortunate and that we have really no control over, other than like trying to correct that misinformation, trying to educate people. But yeah, I mean, it kind of circles back to, like you said, for the why we're doing it, why we would want to broadcast through being pagan. And it's one, to present hopefully a positive image, but two, to educate people. Like, people aren't going to know that pagans are a real legit thing if we're not broadcasting it in some way, shape, or form. I mean,
honestly, yeah, you kind of, I mean, that's a little bit why we're here, right? Just to kind
Right.
of be a little bit in the public.
Exactly. I mean, I would strongly, I mean, it kind of goes back to, like I said earlier, the whole broom closet episode that we did. If and when you feel comfortable in your local area, in your local environment, at work, in public, at home, with family, wherever it may be, when you feel comfortable and you want to make that step, broadcast yourself. Make it known. And more importantly, I mean, I think it's fair to say that I probably have a little bit of a resting asshole face. Or what people...
fucking for real. Resting dick face unite.
But, I mean, I not only do I kind of, when I'm out, especially at work, because that's where I am most of the time, or when I'm going to the store, trying to clearly display it on myself, I always try to make a point too where I'm trying to keep a smile on my face, or I'm trying to keep kind of a positive demeanor about myself, so that way someone doesn't see me broadcasting myself like this and it looks like I'm just this pissed off shaved head guy with a beard walking through the store with, you know, Nordic imagery all over myself. You know, and then that's the other end too of you know, broadcasting yourself. Make sure that when you are broadcasting yourself, you know, barring that you're having a bad day, obviously, because obviously at that point you can't help yourself. If you're just having a shitty day, it might be hard to keep a smile, or if you've had an unfortunate event or something happen in your day, it might be kind of hard to keep a smile on your face. But if you are out there broadcasting yourself, you know, keep that positive image on yourself, stay positive, be happy, be cheerful, because at least my suggestion, I mean, obviously if you want to run around with a resting dick face, go for it. But
can't help my face, man.
Right.
I can't be asked to mask all day long. I'm sorry, I can't.
I mean, it takes...
I'm sure the listeners have noticed, I mean, not this episode because I haven't recorded it, but I'm sure they've noticed that I can go from, like, I'll be smiling and cheering and all that, and, like, doing, like, interacting, to, like, when I switch to, like, listening mode, because I'm just, like, we're not, like, face-to-face, it's hard to, like, even though I see you, that's part of, like, first off, if you ever see me like this staring over that way, I'm totally looking at Beard. That's what I'm doing like this. But, like, if I forget to look at Beard and I just get into listening mode, like, it drops, and I'll just...
It honestly looks like he's sleeping.
Well, I was partially typing, too.
That's fair. Mostly giving you shit, but I mean...
Well, it also helps, because, like, I don't want to get too caught up staring at my files here, and, like, if I, like, just didn't start the whole, like, make eye contact type thing. Because we're in the awkward spots, like, because, like, when you're online, anyone who's been in enough online calls kind of knows what it's like. The actual eye contact is when you're not looking at each other. Because if I look like this, I know this is more of us having eye contact, right? Like, I'm looking right at the camera right now for all the listeners. But it doesn't feel like it, opposed to when I turn and look over here, and I see you turn and look at your monitor, it feels more like genuine eye contact, you know what I'm saying?
That's fair.
Like, right now, I see you looking at your camera, I don't feel like you're looking at me. Even though, in the video, you're looking at me. I feel like you're not, you know what I'm saying?
Oh, that's fair. But, I mean, in to be all honest, bro, I actually set my stuff up right now where my camera is where it is, and then for me, just to the right, your image, your video is right here, so I can look at the camera while I can look in the direction of the camera while looking directly at you, and I can make it look like I'm looking at the camera.
Yeah, but when you do that, half your face is off the screen right now because you lean. It's when you lean forward. No, no. It's when you lean forward and look the other way.
That's fair.
Not that way.
This way?
But anyway, yeah. Considering we lost video, we should probably shut the fuck up about all this video stuff.
We probably
right
should.
I apologize for all the listeners.
But I mean that wraps that wraps me up. So I mean, if you have anything to add, Fro, at this point.
No, I think that pretty much just wraps us up in general. Yeah, honestly, this is kind of a pretty straightforward one. Are you required to do it? No. Should you do it? If you want. Why should you do it? Because you want, or because you want others to know that you're pagan. Are there different levels of doing it? Yes. Can you do it to subtly indicate to peoples? Yes. Same way we use dog whistles to like suss out like all the bad shit. You can use little hints to, suss out other pagans, or to, a little trail of breadcrumbs, if you will, for other pagans to kind of figure it out. Like I said, if you see me wearing, my Vegvisir bracelet with my oath ring, my big old fucking Mjolnir, that's obvious. This shirt that's got like runes and axes all over it with my Mjolnir, and if you don't at least raise an eyebrow, that's not on me. I broadcasted it, right? That's Absolutely. On you. If I get a shirt that literally said Loki made me do it, and I'm wearing my Mjolnir, and you don't fucking like think either, hey, he's at bare minimum a Marvel fanboy, that's on you. I did my job, right? Aside from telling every person I just walk past I'm pagan. I already broadcasted. Is it required? No. Beard and I have already talked about we are trying to broadcast. We're trying to find pagans out there. And speaking of trying to find pagans, I did another UPG sharing. Go check it out, guys. And hit me up if you'd like to be on that. Whether it's Discord, Twitter, however, hit me up. Would love to get some more UPG spiritual experiences for people to share.
Most def. He's a wonderful narrator.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
You are. You're very welcome. You really are a very. I mean, there's a vast difference between your narrator voice and the conversation voice you have here on the podcast with me, and then like how you sound on Bot G with your Smite co-hosts. There's even a difference between like the way you sound with them versus the way you sound with me versus the way you narrate.
Well, I'm also like, we've talked a lot over on Bot G, right? So I just kind of know, like, and they know my pauses, right? And like they joke about Froisms, about how it's part of like my ADHD and my autism. Like it just didn't click to me that I didn't say that first half of that sentence or the last half of it, and I'll just go with it. Like I thought I did. Like I started the sentence up here and just fucking went with it. And like they'll kind of either key on that like he just did a Froism, or we need to ask him what the fuck he means right here, like or stuff like that, or in just like that pauses, like Nev and all that. Like we just know each other a little bit over there. Narration too. It's a lot of reading, right? So there's no there's none of that. I know what I need to say. It's all written down. I don't need to think at all. I just look right here and I can drop it. And just like I'm doing right now, I kind of bring in my monotone. I'm paying attention to what I'm doing. I'm focusing very much. I'm staying on track. The ums are gone, but I do get a little more monotone, and I am aware of this. But when I go back to kind of just like what's coming out, I get a lot more of the pauses. My speech does speed up quite a bit, and I get a little bit ahead of myself, and then that's when I do those like stutter stop like that right there. And like I do know I do this. I am aware of all this. But to be fair, I actually like do somewhat try to take advantage of it for like my D&D characters and shit like that. So like there's a few that I intentionally like, yo, this dude just talks fast, so don't fucking plan anything he says. Like have no idea where I like just utterly have zero idea where my conversation's gonna go when I'm like role playing this guy, because then like I can just know that I'm gonna do that, opposed to someone else where I'm like, no, he's a lot more slow, like methodical. I'll actually have to like kind of plan and guide the conversation a little more. So I know that with this guy, I very much so want him to have he's going to be saying no. He's going to decline what they're saying. He's not a very nice guy for whatever reason, or et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Like then I can like slow it down like that.
I'm getting some insight on how you're going to D&D tomorrow.
And here on this podcast, I'm just new. So like while I try to speak with confidence because I'm like confident in the way I'm thinking, I'm not necessarily confident in what I know, right? So like I could easily be proven wrong on a lot of things, and I'm open to that. So I have a bit more of a doubt kind of tone to myself when on this podcast, I think personally, because I do know what you're talking about. I listen to myself when I edit, right?
That's fair.
But yeah, I think a lot of that just has to come with the like, I'm trying not to sound like an authority, and I could be wrong, and apologize if I am. So there's that. I don't know.
Oh, that's fair.
That's just my self-inflection. I could be fucking wrong. Someone else could come in here and fucking hit me with all these Freudian, like, nah, it's actually the fact that I'm dumb. I don't know. We're off track, dude.
We are.
Matter of fact, you know what? I'm hosting this motherfucker. Not only are we off track, we're just done.
Mm-hmm.
Goodbye, everybody.
Bye.
Thank you for joining, watching, listening. Fuck.
And there it is.